What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Tonight we're in the shop and we're going to continue working on dead plates. Ooh. So in the last video you saw, what did I do? I finished up the roll cage and then I worked on getting the rear bumper and the rear frame section kind of tied in together. I want to see if I can get this thing running by the end of this video. Not making any promises. I am doing a fuel injection kit on it and a new distributor and everything like that. So I have a lot of work cut out for me. One of the things I'm kind of intimidated about on this whole thing is getting rid of what I don't need and keeping what I do need. I believe it's had a lot of hands underneath the hood. There is a lot of aftermarket wiring on there that I'm not super pumped about, but I'm going to just kind of go through it really slow and just kind of work my way around and figure out, you know, what is necessary and what is not necessary for this build. And one thing that I did off camera was, as you can see right here, this Jeep actually had a bigger radiator than what was in the J10. I had to cut this grill support out right here for this radiator. I don't have anything mocked up. I just got everything kind of mocked up right now. I don't have anything set in stone. I've got to figure out if I'm going to do electrical fans or if I'm going to do a mechanical fan. I'm really kind of unsure about which I want to use. If you're not familiar with this motor, it is a AMC 360. It's got a 4-barrel carburetor on there, which isn't bad. It's just, I'll be honest with you, I'm not a carburetor guy. Whenever I put in motors and stuff like that, I just go ahead and put in fuel injection kits just because I don't want to have to mess with this ever again. A lot of those, you know, yes, there's a lot more wires, there's a lot more sensors and everything like that, but I would rather replace a sensor on the side of a trail than have to tear into this carburetor and clean it and everything like that. I'm not bashing carbureted rock crawlers at all. I just personally don't prefer them just because maybe I'm lazy and I don't want to have to mess with it on the trail. But I've just been in a lot of situations where, like, bouncing around and everything and then articulating, putting the vehicle at, you know, off camber situations and everything like that, that can really throw a carburetor in a loop and then it really doesn't know what to do. And then your vehicle runs like crap. And then I do not want to deal with that on this trip. I want to focus on the competition, not focus on, you know, adjusting the carburetor. But kind of going back to the fan issue, so I am pulling the radiator back quite a bit just because of the dove nose. I'm pulling the fenders in, which kind of brings everything back. So that gives me less room for up here for a mechanical fan. I think I'm going to go ahead and take the hood off just because I want a little bit more breathing room and a little bit more light, because as you can see, it's a lot darker up underneath this hood here. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop this hood off. So I have the hood out of the way, and now it really opens up a lot of room and a lot of light, so I can come in here and figure out what I need to do first. I think what I'm going to work on first is I don't have anywhere to put a battery just yet, so I'm thinking that I'm going to be putting the battery somewhere along the lines of right here. I ended up buying a universal battery tray from Amazon. Pretty inexpensive, and I got the same one in beef cheeks and it works really good. And because I got all the AC stuff out of the way, the shoebox right there, I got a lot of real estate that I can put it right there. So what I did was I think I'm gonna put it right here, so I kind of cut this pinch seam right there so I can kind of figure out where I want this to land. Probably somewhere like right there or something. It doesn't really matter, but I still want I don't want whenever I close the hood, it's close to the battery. So I kind of want it a little lower, maybe somewhere like right there. That'll be just fine right there. So now you have to take these pieces and just kind of run them up like that, like so. Just let that kind of hang out. Put the battery in. And I don't know if this is going to be the battery that I use, but it's just going to be the battery that I use for right now. I don't even know if it's charged, to be 100% honest with you. I just want something to kind of make sure everything clears. So now that I have the battery, I guess, installed, I'm going to start figuring out what I need and don't need. Full disclosure, this is not going to be a how-to video. This is basically you watching me figure stuff out. I know I'm not going to need any of these fuel lines, so I'm going to go ahead and cut all those. And I'm just going to start slowly, just kind of cutting everything off. I've already got the carburetor bolts out of the carburetor. This thing was missing a lot before I got a hold of it. But so that's a fuel line. And then with these, there's vacuum lines literally everywhere. So I've got to figure out about the vacuum lines. I'm probably going to have to replace all those. But this is the famous full-size Jeep fuel filter. And these are, these are a universal fuel filter, but if you have one of these full-size Jeeps, you've probably got 4 or 5 of these sitting in your Jeep right now. Because these things clog up really easy because these gas tanks are just there's so many contaminants that can get in there. All right, so I think got that wire. All right, I think I'm ready to take the carburetor off. Yes, the carburetor is off. Motorcraft. 4-barrel. Nice. All right, it is really dirty. All right, so it's really dirty in here. And what I may do is I may come in here with a shop vac and really clean everything as good as I can. Just because there's a bunch of pine straw and I think there's like a cockroach nest, and I don't want any of that stuff to catch on fire whenever I start, messing with this and getting it up to temperature and everything like that. So I'm gonna get in here and clean this mess up real quick. So this is pretty much as good as it's going to get clean wise. So I'm actually going to start trying to get the carburetor on. And I do have a new shop helper. This is Cinnamon Roll. Say, hey, Cinnamon Roll. This is our new addition to the family. She is a Cavalier King Charles, and she is a sweet baby. Anyway, this is Cinnamon Roll, everybody. So I'm kind of going to be working on the carburetor and entertaining the new puppy. So I'm probably not going to get a lot done. You can see how small she is compared to that drill. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to get this bracket out. It's going to be the bridge from the carb to the actual motor itself, to the intake. So if you hear the background noise, that's just my AC going because it's kind of hot and humid in here. On top of this intake right here, it does have some remaining gaskets, so I'm just going to take a razor blade and just kind of come in here and scrape away from the intake. And it's coming right off. Just make sure you always scrape away from what you want clean. All right, now I'm just going to take some intake cleaner and just really get in there and clean the mating surface up. So look at that. That's what the gasket would have been pressed against. And you definitely don't want that. I've got everything cleaned up, and now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take these intake studs out. And there's a couple of different ways to do it. You can put two nuts on top. I may have to do that, but I'm going to first try to get it off just with a pair of vice grips. All right, so got that one kind of loosened up there. All right, so now that I have the studs all pulled out, I'm going to start with my gasket here, and I'm just going to lay it down where it fits over the stud holes nicely. And then I'm actually going to take my bracket and place down just like that, and it should line up just perfectly. So now I'm going to take the supplied hardware, go ahead and start tightening, go ahead and start getting the bolts in, not tightening anything just yet. Drop those in. So in the back, you're going to be putting these Allen head screws with the taper on them, because the new carburetor, the new fuel injection carburetor, is going to be sitting on top of those, so you have to have those flush. So now I'm just going to tighten everything up equally, that way it's getting pulled down onto that gasket at the same time with the same amount of pressure. Snug those up. All right, so got that all snug. Now I can put the gasket on for the fuel injection system itself. And that's going to go just like so. Just like that. Then we are ready for this. And I've already got the 3 bolts on the bottom, so that way I can just plop it right on. Plop. Give everything a good wiggle. And I'm just verifying that my gasket is seated and the bolts aren't on top of it or anything like that. So I'm going to do this the same way. I'm going to equally tighten up these 3 bolts all together. Just go ahead and get them started first. Cinnamon Roll is asleep in an old Barnes box over there with a blanket. She's not a lot of help, but she's here if I need her. Sweet, that's not going anywhere. I don't have an air filter yet for it, but who needs those? So I can hear the carburetor guys be like, oh my gosh, look at all those wires. Blah, blah, blah. I'm just trying to figure out the best place. I think I'm going to be running the computer on the inside of the Jeep, and where I took out the air conditioner over there, I have a spot about this big to make a plate and a grommet for the wires to go through. So I'm just going to shove those in there for right now. So all this right here goes to the computer, and the computer, like I said, is going to be inside of the vehicle. And then I've got a nice little fuse block, and then I've got a couple of wires right here. I believe this is for like check engine light or service engine soon, and then the switched 12-volt ignition power. So I need to run those on the inside of the vehicle. Sweet. All right. And what's really cool about this kit, everything is like wired. I mean, everything is labeled, so that's pretty cool. Coolant temperature sensor. So some of this stuff I'm going to use and some of this stuff I'm not going to use. Fuel pump power. So yeah, I probably need to take a break from this because that's the fuel pump relay. I need to get the gas tank in because there's no point of doing all this if I don't even have gas going to it. I had a Cherokee gas tank sitting outside, and apparently ants really like it. So the kit did come with a pump, which is really cool because it's like an inline pump. Like you could just put this on your frame rail and just have like a fuel cell right here, which is basically, this is what I plan on, this just acting as a fuel cell, not really a fuel pump, if that makes sense. But I've got to actually read some directions. I haven't read any directions at all, I'll be honest with you. Blah, blah, blah. Man, this is just precautions. So what I may do is I may try to, I don't know if I'm going to use the inline pump or use the pump right here. I feel like it'd be easier just to use the pump right here, but like I said, I don't know. I've got to look up to see what rating this pump is, and then if this pump even works. So yeah, this is budget build stuff, guys. All right, so I did some research, and I believe this puts out around 49 PSI. I thought it was 45, but the kit that I'm using, the fuel injection requires a constant 10 to 15 pounds. So this is gonna be way too much. So I am just gonna have to use this as a fuel cell. I could put a reducer on the line, but honestly, I feel like it would just be simpler to just use this as a fuel cell. And so that's probably what I'm gonna do just for right now. These rust holes sure are convenient.